Good Thursday evening. How is everybody doing? It's time to jump into the fire. Ron Hall, aka Red Zone Ron, in the house. Not much longer, but we're still in the house. We'll be moving to the compound up in Harrison very, very, very soon. We hope. Hello, Kim. How are you? Alan, well, he's there. Good. Thank you, sir, for getting out to vote today. I don't think I am in your district for Tennessee House of Representatives, but I'm glad you voted. And all indications are in the first day of voting, people who have messaged me, over 20 write-in vote are. That's not too shabby. I'm not going to complain. Mike Carter does not deserve to run unopposed. So I'm here. So if you live in Tennessee House District 29, go write my name in. Really easy. Hope everybody's having a good week. You see down there at the bottom, 40 days. 40 days sober for my daughter, Amy. Thank you. Thank you for all the prayers and support and everything else. Where do you start? Where do you start? We'll have the newest member or members of the piece of shit list before we call it a night. Okay. Where do you start? Falcons announced this afternoon their facilities are now closed due to COVID. So their game Sunday, I don't even know who it's against because personally I think the Falcons suck and they've always sucked. They are the typical Atlanta sports franchise. There's a reason why for dang near 30 years Atlanta was called Losersville. And I am a firm believer that had someone other than Bobby Cox been managing the Atlanta Braves, they would have not been limited to just one World Series championship. And Bobby Cox, a brilliant regular season manager, but, Braves take the first two from the Dodgers in this. Then last night, the Dodgers did their best Stone Cold Steve Austin and opened up a can of whoop ass on the Braves. Braves have two, maybe 2.5 quality starting pitchers. Max Fried, Ian Anderson. I did get to see Ian Anderson when he made trips here with the Mississippi Braves when they played the Lookouts. I don't ever recall seeing Max Fried. Hello, Diane. Ask me tonight after the game, Alan, because it's my understanding that the greatest pitcher of his generation is on the bump for the Dodgers tonight, and that's Clayton Kershaw. I think I've told this story. I have not collected souvenirs and memorabilia from any of the things I've done. When my credential badge is expired, it goes in the garbage. And I've got credentials from every event that I have ever been the PA announcer at. That includes working at the Georgia Dome behind the microphone. And I've only kept one thing. And that is my score sheet the night Clayton Kershaw pitched for the Chattanooga Lookouts. He was here on a rehab assignment for the Dodgers, and the game sold out. it was incredible to have a midweek game sell out because you had arguably the best pitcher of his generation on the hill for Chattanooga. I mean, and the very next season, now 2 seasons later, the Minnesota Twins send Irvin Santana, who at that time was one of the better pitchers in the American League. We didn't even have 2,000 people in the house that night. So go figure. Let's see what the Bravos do tonight against the Dodgers. And then I'll tell you whether the Braves are going to make the World Series. And here's the thing. Isn't the World Series also going to be played in a bubble-like environment? At least they are allowing, I think it's like 11, 12,000 fans in the ballparks for these championship series. I mean, it's poetic justice that the Astros suck. I mean, it's karma. They should have been punished a whole lot more than they were. But if you did not watch the Tennessee Titans Tuesday night, keep in mind this is a team that had not practiced together in 16 days. The facilities shut down due to a boatload of COVID cases. And then they come out and they kick the living crap out of the previously undefeated Buffalo Bills. I have yet to understand why Chattanooga has not embraced the Tennessee Titans. I don't understand it. But there's still so many Falcon fans. And I understand your loyalty, but the Falcons will break your heart. Kind of like how many times have the Braves broken your heart? The other, I mean, Atlanta United. Here's something that maybe some of you didn't know. Before the inaugural season of the Atlanta United, I was contacted asking would I be interested in being the public address announcer for Atlanta United. And I told them, thank you, but no thank you. I'm not interested. But that, made me feel good for a few days to know that somebody on that level had enough confidence in me to ask if I would be interested. But the commute to Atlanta and back on match days or nights would have been horrendous. Because that's it, Alan. 14. Well, now it's 15 division titles, right? After this year. And 1 world championship. They have been to the World Series, I think, 5 times. They won it once against the Cleveland Indians. And a masterpiece of pitching by Tom Glavine in Game 6 that sealed the deal. And David Justice hit the home run. But Atlanta United won the championship. I think it's MLS, Major League Soccer, their inaugural season. But soccer does not captivate a city like baseball, basketball, hockey, or football. It just doesn't. I mean, the Lakers won again, big whoop. I don't know if, Amy chimed in. It's now 41 days. So kudos to my daughter. I'm very, very proud of her. And but you're not going to, you just don't see cities erupt when they win the MLS championship. It has been interesting to watch social media the last 24 hours since it was announced that Nick Saban has the Rona. Of course, the Tennessee fans are having a field day with it, saying Butch Jones will take over for St. Nick. And I don't know about you, but Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach that's ever lived. It's not even close. He's followed by, in my humble opinion, Steve Spurrier, Eddie Robinson of Grambling, and Bear Bryant. Yes, I've already talked about you, daughter. And it's interesting how the betting line, hello, Shirley. It's interesting how that betting line has gotten tighter now that Nick Saban's not going to be there. Steve Sarkisian is going to handle the job, former coach at USC. Recovering alcoholic. Alcoholism led to his demise at USC because he was the guy that replaced Lane Kiffin. And alcoholism got the best of him. But that's why I admire Nick Saban. He does these reclamation projects. Now, Georgia fans, don't get too cocky. Love you, Amy. Hopefully your dinner that I dropped by was good. I had the rest of my leftover shepherd's pie. Aldi, $5.99. Good stuff. But that betting line has shrunk. And I just don't think Georgia has the athletes to match up against Alabama. Because in the world of college football, Bama's up here as far as their recruiting. And although all of these recruiting gurus talk about Georgia, Nick Saban is able to get more out of them than Kirby Smart can. I don't know what it is. Nick Saban is the ultimate motivator. And here is what was Nick Saban's first job? Who was he an assistant for in his very first real coaching job? He was an assistant for Bill Belichick with the Cleveland Browns. And who gave us Bill Belichick? Bill Parcells. But the Dallas Cowboys are toast. That injury to Dak Prescott, although horrifying as it is, it still does not rank up there with Alex Smith. Kudos to Alex Smith, who after 17 surgeries took the field for the Washington Football Club Sunday. But if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you need to resign yourself to the fact that as long as Jerry Jones owns that team, Nothing's going to happen. There ain't nothing going to happen. He has, yes, he owns the team, but he has so much control over what goes on that it is to the detriment of the team. But saw the news tonight. Almost 1 million new unemployed for the month of September. 898,000 people joined the unemployment line. Since the pandemic hit, more than 10 million people have been added to the number of people who are classified as living in poverty. 10 million people have been added to the poverty list since the pandemic began. People need help and they're not getting it. And it's kind of frightening, especially when you get all these people trying to give you financial advice. Shut the hell up. I don't want your financial advice. Tell me how to survive until the economy gets better. Tell me how to survive. Both of the major, I mean, you can vote for a third party if you want to. A third party is never going to be elected. So the two candidates for president, since the debate was supposed to take place tonight, they are doing dueling town halls. Some of the networks are going to carry President Trump's town hall. Some of them are going to carry former Vice President Biden's. Am I going to watch any of it? Oh, man, I just looked in the camera, and that streak in my hair, I'm starting to look like Pepe Le Pew. Maybe that's what I'll start calling myself, Pepe Le Pew. But I'll watch a few minutes of each one of them because, yeah, Kanye's still on the ballot. Enough said. I mean, and you've got the Libertarian candidate, because in 2016, I did vote Libertarian. Gary Johnson, because his bumper sticker was hilarious. Stop douchebaggery. He had my vote right then. But it is starting, the campaign is really starting to grate on me, because now you got Rudy Giuliani coming up with this harebrained thing that he has proof of what Hunter Biden's done. And my understanding is that he got all this information from a computer repairman. Okay. And now President Trump is going after Dr. Fauci and going after him hot and heavy, saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. The premier infectious disease physician in the world, who has served presidents of both parties. And he is now doesn't know what he's talking about. I will believe Dr. Fauci. And now they're pushing the herd immunity deal. with the current death rate, if everyone were to be infected, at the current death rate, over 6 million Americans would die if they go with the herd immunity deal. Chris Christie has now admitted he should have been wearing a mask. Just wear your mask, because right now the second surge is on. The second surge is on. Numbers are climbing, and they're climbing quickly. Hospitalizations are climbing, and they're climbing quickly. You have college football games being postponed. I think it's Florida has 19 or 20 of their players who are infected. Vanderbilt has so many, they can't field a team this weekend against Missouri, because you have to have 53 scholarship athletes in order to play. Vanderbilt doesn't have that available. You've got high school games being postponed or canceled. And then you have a football coach at a major university talk like this.
It's going to be a unique year for us. It's going to be really interesting. But really good team. Give them a lot of credit. Tough football team. They made a lot of plays today. They got a lot of experience, a lot of explosive players on their team. Played hard. They made a lot of plays they needed to. Made one more, I guess, than we did. It was a great day of football. Great atmosphere out there. Crowd was certainly a factor in the game. I will certainly say that. I know our governor passed that rule, so certainly, hopefully, the university administration decides to let us pack the swamp for LSU next week. 100%, because that crowd was a major factor in the game. And so I certainly hope our university administration follows the governor. Our governor has passed a rule that we're allowed to pack the swamp. We have 90,000 in the swamp to give us that home field advantage that Texas A&M had today.
Pack the swamp. Florida Gators head football coach Dan Mullen, welcome to the piece of shit list. Welcome to the list, Coach Mullen. If you're going to sit there and you are actually going to say, let's pack the place out, you are out of your freaking mind. Number one, you got a jackwagon of a governor in the state of Florida anyway. Ron DeSantis is a dumbass. And he's saying there is going to be a packed house for the Super Bowl in Tampa. 36 of the 50 states have had massive increases in the number of positive cases. CDC is saying it is alarming. Europe is now having their third wave. Countries in Europe are locking down again because they're being overwhelmed. And then you have this idiot saying, let's put 90,000 people at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the swamp, against LSU. Thankfully, the game's been postponed now. So, welcome to the piece of shit list, Coach Mullen. Let me ask you guys a question. You're trying to pull out of somewhere. Let's say I'm trying to think of it. You're somewhere on Brainerd Road, 4 lanes. Okay. And let's say you're pulling out onto Brainerd Road at a red light, or where you know you're going to get a spot to at least get the center line. Happens to me quite often. I will pull out. I can get into the center line. And there's always somebody, and I'm going south on Brainerd Road. And there's always somebody in that left lane with a completely open right lane that will not get over and let me get on the road. Am I being weird about that? Or has common courtesy on the road left us? Has common courtesy on the road left us? If you're on a 4-lane road and somebody's in the turn lane and they want to get into the traffic flow, don't you move over and let them get into the traffic lane? Or do you stay and make sometimes I'll just throw up my hands when they go by me. Sometimes they get half a peace sign. But I mean, it's like when you're trying to get on, when you're on the interstate and people are on the ramp, if you can get over and let them hit the interstate, thank you. But you also have the people who are on the ramp who are just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. They're not watching anybody behind to see if they can space it where they can get into the traffic flow. And they just keep going, and they'll run down the side of the interstate until they can get in the traffic. I don't understand it. I truly don't. Do we add those people to the list? Do we add them to the list? Ask me Saturday night. We'll see how tomorrow and Saturday go. Now, the thing about where I'm moving to up in Harrison is you have to go, you're going north on Highway 58 towards Central High School. In order to get to the new compound, you have to do a flip and come back. You got to do a flip to come back. And that's another one of those things where people just don't want to let you in. So we'll see how long it is before there's a road rage incident in Harrison. If you are taking part in the Trump train down in North Georgia, how about obeying the traffic laws? How about obeying the traffic laws? Especially around the old Kmart on Battlefield Parkway and Lafayette Road. Please obey the traffic laws. If the light turns red, stop. Don't keep going so your train doesn't get disrupted. Multiple complaints about that this past weekend. Multiple complaints. But it is what it is. I'm still trying to figure out why the hell they're doing all that construction around Lafayette Road. They're going to cut it down to 2 lanes from the intersection of Battlefield Parkway, or 2A, and they're at the flashing red light right there at the church, right before you go into the battlefield, right there at St. Gerard's Catholic Church. It's going to be just 1 lane each direction. For what? I don't know. Because there's nothing there other than the Park Place restaurant. That's it. And Judy O'Neill's Goodwill store. I think she calls it Tootie's Treasures. That's it. There's nothing else there. And I don't understand why they're investing all this money. What you need to be doing is you need to be adding another lane each direction on Battlefield Parkway, because it's quickly becoming another gun barrel road. But it is what it is, and we have to deal with it. I have not looked at the high school football schedule for the weekend. I don't know who Ridgeland's playing. I don't know who Cleveland and Bradley's playing. I know the Coca-Cola Red Zone's game of the week is Walker Valley and East Hamilton. Congratulations to an old friend, Robert Akins, the head football coach at Ringgold. I think he won his 250th game this past week at Murray County. He's a good man. Good man. I was there in the beginning when he was at Boyd Buchanan, and I was actually covering that game. It was a Coca-Cola Red Zone game of the week. Boyd Buchanan and Tyner. Final score, Tyner 95, Boyd Buchanan 3. Oh boy, that is McMinn County. That's not McMinn Central, is it? McMinn County is undefeated. I think they're ranked 6th in the state in 6A. And I've heard some people say it is the best public school football team in the area. And that's a hell of a homecoming game for Cleveland. Holy crap. I thought homecoming games you were supposed to win. But on the high school level, I think that has changed over the years. You usually want to win your homecoming game. Now, this year is going to be strange to begin with because crowds are supposed to be limited. Although I have seen evidence that there are some schools in this area that are not limiting attendance. And the TAA is not going to do anything because they make money off of you. So it is what it is. But if you want to keep up, if you're at home, put Coca-Cola Red Zone on the radio. And if not, then go to Facebook Live and catch my buddies at Scenic City Sports. They'll be there tomorrow night. Let me get you a better shot of that, if I can find it here. Let me find it. I thought I had it. I don't know what happened to it. It's just the little one. There it is. Scenic City Sports Facebook Live tomorrow night. Put them both on. They will have live updates from the games they're covering. And you've always got the Coca-Cola Red Zone, 8 to 11 on Talk Radio 102.3. There's a reason They're on the Rushmore of local talk radio hosts because you can't single. You just got to give that to the show itself with what they do. There's still no word yet on the Blue Gold World Series. It looks like the Southern Conference is, going to go with spring football. And I've heard some people question whether an FCS championship would be legitimate with an 8-game spring season, because there are some leagues that are not going to play in the spring. The Patriot League has said they're not going to play spring football, so there goes an automatic berth. Don't play spring football. Just chalk it up, have your spring practice, but don't have a season in the spring. Just start again next fall. Just start again next fall. And hopefully this will all be over and we can have some sense of normalcy. I think we'll see a vaccine sometime early next year. And if my doctor says to get one, I'll get one. I already have to get a pneumonia vaccine because that's the worst thing that can happen to somebody with heart disease is to get pneumonia. That would be frightening. That would be frightening. Let me throw a couple of other just tidbits at you. I watched a movie last night. I've already forgotten the name of it. It was kind of good. It was about 2 old gangsters. And it starred Al Pacino and Christopher Walken. And I realized Al Pacino's getting ready to turn 80 years old. 80. Man. Whew. That's unreal. And I do not see anybody in this current crop of actors that are on that level of Pacino and De Niro and Robert Duvall and Robert Redford and Warren Beatty. I just don't see it. One, because they make too damn many superhero movies. But I just don't see that one that stands out in their acting ability. I just don't see one. You thought for a while Heath Ledger. Unfortunately, he passed. And you just don't see it. Halloween's coming up. Will anyone other than me do a Hollywood or a Halloween movie watch of the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Yes, Stand Up Guys. Great movie. I really enjoyed it. I should have remembered the name, but it was so late at night. But it's like at Christmas time, a lot of people have to watch It's a Wonderful Life. Well, for me, it's not Christmas time. And my family will tell you I am the biggest bah humbug guy there is. I am not a big Christmas person at all. Here's your Christmas gift. I open the wallet, give the kids $100 each. $50 to the grandkids. My great-granddaughter is going to be too young. I'll give her $1. But you can't enjoy I have to have something that reminds me it's Christmas time. And for me, it's Christmas Vacation. It's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark. And what better movie to remember it's Halloween than the Rocky Horror Picture Show? I don't know if my son's watching, but one time he wanted to actually dress up as Dr. Frank Furter for Halloween. It's a great movie. Great movie. But that's going to wrap it up, folks. I'm still waiting on the cold weather that these weather prognosticators have said we're going to get, where it's going to dip down into the 30s at night. I'm still waiting. The longer it stays away, the happier I'm going to be. But once again, congratulations to Florida head football coach Dan Mullen. You are the newest member of the piece of shit list. Don't forget, early voting is still going on. Tennessee is saying record number of people, both in-person early voting and a massive increase in absentee ballots that have already been received. Unprecedented numbers of absentee ballots. So just be safe. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Don't know what we're going to talk about. We do have a future show lined up with David Stevenson and Karen Stocker, and a new business venture that they have started, which basically is going to be a consulting company for young athletes. What they need to do to get scholarships and stuff like that. So we'll keep you updated on that. We will be joined in the very near future by the voice of the Lookouts and the voice of the Chattanooga women's basketball team, Hall of Famer Larry Ward. But until, excuse me, the cough button's on its way. But until Saturday night at 7 o'clock, remember to please be kind to each other. Good night.